Am I saying those right? Time will only tell. So this is the feud. This is the back of the book. This stuff, it's like magic. I talk so fast, I run out of breath. And I have to also stop saying, oh God, please. Hey everybody, my name is Shani and today I'm going to be talking about One for My Enemy by Olivie Blake. And this is, for all intents and purposes in my life, a new release from April of 2023. Goodreads does say it was released in 2019. I'm pretty sure that it was probably self-published like a lot of Olivie Blake's books, but it was just recently published by Tor, and I'm so glad because I probably wouldn't have found this 5-star read otherwise, and I was just so excited about it whenever I got an email from Barnes & Noble of new releases in April, and this was on their list for me. Thanks, Barnes & Noble. So it came out April 4th, my birthday is April 5th, and I planned on going to Barnes & Noble to do some book shopping on my birthday. I took off work for that day, but I just couldn't wait. I didn't want to wait until the very next day, and so after work, that was on a Tuesday, Matt took me to Barnes & Noble so I could go get it so I didn't have to wait. He's so sweet. And then I picked it up that same week. I started reading it and loved it immediately. I was like a third of the way through the book and I told Matt that I was already sad that it was already going to be over. I was already sad and wanted another book like this one. Gosh, I just loved it so much. So what I knew, or what I thought I knew before going into this, was that it was a Shakespeare Romeo and Juliet retelling. But I don't know why I thought that, because Olivie Blake in the video that I watched, she said that it was inspired by Romeo and Juliet, not that it was a retelling. I guess I just heard what I wanted to hear. But what was I gonna say? In the little video clip that I watched of Olivie Blake, she has her own YouTube channel where it's called Olivie Blake Is Not Writing or something cute like that. But she said she had the inspiration of, what if Romeo and Juliet woke up and they were mad as hell? I was like, sign me up. Thanks. So just loved the idea of it to begin with. I don't know if you like Shakespeare, retellings, if you've ever watched any of the Romeo and Juliet movies. The one with Haley Steinfeld is just my favorite. Do I like the Leonardo DiCaprio and the, what's her name? The Juliet, I can't think of the actress's name right now. Do I like that one? It was the first one that I saw at freshman year after we read Romeo and Juliet, and I thought it was just such a fun idea, replacing the swords with guns and setting it in like more of a modern day. I remember that there was a trailer whenever Romeo gets banished from the city or whatever it was. Gosh, I talk so fast, I run out of breath. And I have to also stop saying, golly. So with the inspiration from Romeo and Juliet, of course, there is a family rivalry, just like the Capulets and the Montagues. And in this book, it is the Anatovas and the Fedorovs. Am I saying those right? Time will only tell. But it is from the perspective of a few of the different siblings, and the Anatovas are all female. So the patriarchy of this family is not in the picture, and so this mother had all daughters. And this is the Barnes & Noble edition, the black one. They also have the white one, and I saw it at Barnes & Noble this weekend when we went for World Book Day, and they have the white one, and I was like, oh, I'm so glad I got the black one. But the white one was signed. Barnes & Noble, why you gotta do me like that? This is one of my new favorite fantasy reads, and I bought the Barnes & Noble exclusive black edition instead of the white one because obviously it's cool, but the other ones are signed, and now I want both. Anyways, this is the Fedorovs. The matriarchy of this family is out of the picture, counter to the other one, and he has all sons. So this is the feud. This is the back of the book. Get my thoughts together. Pulling from that family rivalry, of course, there is hatred amongst some of these characters. Deep-rooted hatred that comes from just the hatred between these families runs deep and is rooted in loyalty to their own families mostly. But to counteract that, there is an equal balance of love that's not overly done. I don't think that's not overly done in this book. It pulls, like, the way that she wrote the characters, the way that she tied the love interest against the family rivalry very much was an ode to what Shakespeare did in Romeo and Juliet, which I loved. But I love the modern setting, just like with the Leonardo DiCaprio version of the movie. With that modern setting, it just really ties it into like what is happening. So this is set in modern day Manhattan, which is really cool. A New York City Romeo and Juliet, kind of, but not really. And then they're all witches. So witches in this book means both male and female. And there's a bureau that's kind of like, think like the Ministry of Magic, but it's not that big. It's just for Manhattan, and they just keep the magic under control to make sure that the humans, the non-magic people, aren't going to figure out that there is magic amongst them. But so at the very beginning of the story, Baba Yaga, who is the mother of the women's family, has this storefront, and she adds just a dabble of magic into some of her products, like bath bombs and moisturizers. So the women keep coming back, they're like, this stuff, it's like magic, but it really is, but they don't know that it is. And so she just sells so much of it. But there's also drug dealing in these books, and there is like an in-between lawyer guy that both families keep going to basically like air all of their family drama to. And whoever has the highest or the best bid to him, he's like, oh yeah, I'll do whatever you want. And so that keeps things interesting because the tide keeps turning. And then I feel like it's just over 400 pages, but I think that like every 100 pages or so, Olivie Blake put a new twist in there. So because in my mind, I thought, oh, this is a Romeo and Juliet retelling that's not going to go like play by play. There were just so many things that she added in there on her own that just really made it a fresh story for me. And it kept me excited. It kept the anticipation going. It kept the story building and rising, that it wasn't like mid, climax of the story and fall. For me, it was just like this up and down chart that was just continually climbing until at the end, it just explodes. It doesn't, I'm just kidding, there's no explosion. Another thing that I really liked is that there's no chapters in this book. Technically, there are acts, just like in a Shakespeare play. So there's like scene, I don't want to accidentally reveal anything. So there's like Act 1, and they have an actual quote from Romeo and Juliet in here, which is nice. And then there's like Act 1, Scene 1, Act 1, Scene 2. And they have the little heading titles in there as well. But I like that. That was kind of refreshing, how they have the little scene breaks. I liked it. And then at the beginning, I was very grateful for this. The character list, just kind of like in a play as well. But because some of the families were really big, especially the women's family, the Anatovas, there's mostly like the mom and two sisters that it follows, but then it does reference back to some of the other sisters, and I kept having to be like, wait, who are we talking about? Who are you? What's your relation to the family? And then there's these others. So anyways, the first 50 pages flew by a lot quicker than they probably would have otherwise if I didn't have that character reference. So yeah, that modern day setting, I just loved it. That also helped me insert myself into the story so well. I just love modern fantasy, I guess, because I really love the Greenbone Saga, which was much more of a modern fantasy. I don't think that that's what Fonda Lee like intended it to be titled as, and I don't know if that's what Olivie Blake intends it to be titled as, but I really like modern settings for fantasy. It lures me in for some reason, I guess because I can just like look into the world and just imagine that these things are happening, these crazy, wonderful, magical, crazy, awful things are maybe happening aside from the crazy, wonderful, loving, awful things that are happening in our real world, I guess. So yeah, with that modern setting, Olivie Blake does a great job with blending the ode towards Shakespeare and how she kind of builds some of the characters. And then of course with the modern writing and then the acts with the scene headers, that was just really cool. So yeah, it might be kind of cliche to say that Romeo and Juliet is my favorite Shakespeare play, but it would be a lie if I said otherwise. It just is. I just love it because there's just the drama buildup between the families, which is just definitely a part of real life. No matter how much drama is in like your own family or not, if your family's like really calm, I just feel like you've seen it amongst other families, or your family has drama with another family, even if your own family is very tight-knit. Romeo and Juliet just captures that so well. And then the way that you can love just unconditionally, almost right away, whenever you find somebody that you know that your heart calls to. Wow, yes, Romeo and Juliet. Sign me up. And I want more Shakespeare retellings. No, I don't want, this is not a retelling. I want more Shakespeare-inspired fantasy modern setting books. This is amazing. 5 stars. And I don't know, like for my all-time faves, if it's up in the top 5, it might be just below that, but for fantasy standalones, absolutely in the top 5. Just wonderful, amazing. Go read it. Let me know what you thought about the modern setting. Let me know what you thought about all of the main characters being witches. Let me know what you thought about her, Olivie Blake's like twists and turns. Did they get you? I never see them coming in any book that I've ever read. I'm just so bad at it most of the time. But yeah, let me know what you thought. I'm so excited to talk with y'all about it. I just love this book. I want to keep talking about it. I will probably talk about it more this year whenever I talk about my favorite books. One for My Enemy by Olivie Blake. So glad I read it. All right, I hope you'll have fun reading today. Bye!